pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to July 9th, 2024 meeting of the Jackson Township Council will now come to order. Councilman Borelli,
Here.
Councilman Bernstein,
Here.
Councilman Chisholm,
Present.
Council Vice President Sargent,
Present.
and Council President Kuhn.
Here.
As clerk of this meeting, I hereby publicly announce that in compliance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been advertised in the manner prescribed by law. We'll continue with opening comments from Township Council. Council President Kuhn.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for taking the time to come out with us tonight. I would like everybody to look up at the screen and see, I guess, the logo that we have on there. That's going to be, I would like to extend a special thank you to the Knights of Columbus for hosting their first Military Appreciation Day on August 3rd with a rain date of August 4th. This remarkable event brings together the Knights of Columbus, the American League, Disability American Veterans, AMVEX, and Jackson PBA, and the mayor, business administrator, and council, who have all proudly contributed to this event. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of special things that are happening. I just wanted to highlight what this really goes. If you look at the proceeds go to Send a Hero Home for the holidays. They're going to have the Jackson Jags that do the videoing are going to be there, and they're going to record anybody that has family members overseas or just anybody that wants to do recording, and they're going to send them over to them for the holidays. I just think that's really a special event, and I know that everybody on the dais, we're all very proud to be a part of it, and I hope that everybody can join them. If you're a veteran currently serving, it's 100% free for you. They're supposed to have flyovers and stuff like that, so it's going to be a great event. Tonight, I would like to also discuss the ongoing traffic studies and their timelines for completions. This topic is of great importance to me, and I know many of our residents. I will continue to provide updates on the developments as we move forward. With that being said, I'm going to be quick. I'm going to go to past studies, current studies, and then future studies. Past studies meaning one that I've gotten the reports from our last council meeting. This one is going to be on Beam Avenue. Honestly, it wasn't bad. The 85 percentile was 28 miles per hour. Average speed was 23 miles an hour. Average daily traffic was 207 vehicles a day. Pace going 12 to 28 miles an hour. Beam with the section of South Cooks Bridge to Tilford Street was 37 miles an hour, was the 85 percentile. Average speed was 30 miles an hour. Average daily traffic was 577 vehicles. Pace was 26 to 36. During this time frame was between May 10th and May 17th. They conducted the traffic study and the same on Beam Avenue. Then we go into eastbound Beam Avenue. 85 percentile was 35 miles an hour. Average speed was 28 miles an hour. Average daily vehicles was 342 vehicles, and the pace was 24 to 34. So westbound, again on Beam Avenue, 85 percentile was 32 miles an hour. Average speed was 25 miles an hour. Daily traffic was 329 vehicles, and the pace was 21 to 31 miles an hour. So that is currently Robbins Estates. We are currently right now moving on to Castle Avenue. That will be on July 4th of July. It was moved over there. And then that'll be there until July 11th. And then it will be relocated. It's got to get charged and stuff like that. And then it's going on to Laurelton Avenue. And then it will be going on to Georgian Boulevard, followed by Goldweber. So that is currently what we're working on now. The next locations will be the Hartford community. I do have an email that I did requested this back in February of this year. Also, a resident had requested it, and we're going to do Hartfield Road in Brookwoods. Again, there's a lot of roads and it takes a lot of time, so continue to be patient, and I will continue to give these reports. The last thing is Mr. Wall approved, the county gave a request to put in a traffic light at Hyson Road and Harmony Road, and Mr. Wall on July 3rd, 2024, approved that. It was sent to the county, so that is up and coming. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Council Vice President Sargent.
Good evening. It's nice to see some of the firefighters here this evening. I'm going to waive my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. It's nice to see our fire officials here tonight and our residents as well. Along with the governing body, I'm thrilled to continue to be part of advocating for and supporting Township administration efforts for safe, inclusive, and ADA compliant upgrades to the premier parks and recreational areas in our town, like at the Justice Complex, which all kids will be able to use and enjoy. Also, unfortunately, I read today that the Jackson branch of the Ocean County Library System announced they will be closed for the next 2 weeks for HVAC repairs. Borrowed items can be returned at drop boxes on site at the Jackson Library or at any other Ocean County Library branch. And items that have to be picked up at the Jackson Library will be available at the Manchester Library, located at 21 Colonial Drive, where patrons can request other locations if desired. All items on hold will be extended through July 22nd. For more information, you can call the County Library System's main number at 732-349-6200. Take care and have a good evening, and stay cool out there.
Thank you. Councilman Bernstein.
Good evening. First of all, thank you to the fire officials for being out here tonight. Looking forward to hearing from you later tonight. Secondly, thank you to all the residents who came out. I also wanted to echo Council President Kuhn and really thank Council President Kuhn for taking the lead and putting this event together. I know how much hard work she put into it behind the scenes, getting all the various sponsors and everyone else involved. So thank you, Council President. With that being said, there are a lot of wonderful events in our town. We don't always hear about them. Some of them is only after. I had the opportunity in stopping in by a PBA event and supporting our PBA this week. And I encourage anyone, if you hear of events, sometimes they go under the radar, let us know. We'll do our best to get them out there to the public. Thank you, Mr. Wall and the entire administration for doing a great job in getting the messages to the public. The spray park had something broken and the message was out on the town website first thing the next morning. So we really thank you and we're looking forward to continuing to get the messages out to the residents. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Councilman Chisholm.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Hope you all had a great Independence Day. Hopefully you celebrated the reason why we're all here. Would like to thank the veterans organizations and the Knights of Columbus that are hosting this Military Appreciation Day. I know it's short notice and a lot of us are busy during the summer, but please try to support them, contribute where you can, make it out there. Hopefully it'll be a great day and we can support our vets. Would like to note a couple things here. Some of you guys may read our local Jackson Times. I just don't know. Does everybody actually, like when you do read it, do you all shrug your shoulders? Do you laugh out loud? Do you actually, I don't know, question, does anybody believe this tripe? I do all the time, every time I watch the news. And like Governor Murphy, of course, King Philip had to have his little say about a website. This is the big thing. The website that's going to let people track the federal infrastructure investments. Our investments. We have $7 billion that we've received from the federal government. And like his big claim to fame, after spending $55 billion, doubling our state budget, is a website. What's a website cost? $3,000, $5,000, $10,000? I mean, I don't care how good it is. I mean, for God's sakes, that's his big tout. He has nothing to claim. What do we have? Senator Booker. Bill is going to combat opioid crisis. Why? Because, well, we now have 82% of crisis deaths because of fentanyl. Rather than actually plug the wall and stop the drugs from coming into our country, the crisis that the Democrats have created under Biden, under Cory Booker, they stopped the funding, they stopped the building of the wall. They want to put a Band-Aid on it. They blame everybody else. We're gonna throw money at the opioid crisis. It's not the crisis. How about you enforce the law? Shut down the fentanyl, shut down the cartels. This is nonsense, but this is what we get. It's laughable, except for it's sad, and this is really happening in our country. Speaking of laughable, I'm sure you all watched that embarrassment from Sleepy Joe Biden. So who are you going to believe? Your own lying eyes or the media? Think for yourselves, why would you have 11 visits in the last month of a Parkinson's specialist doctor at the White House? Do you get house calls from your doctor? I don't care if you have cancer. You don't get a house call. You don't get 11 of them. Only the President of the United States can have a visit from a doctor 11 times in a month for Parkinson's. This is really bad, folks. I hope we're all going to wake the hell up because it's really scary what's happening to our country and it's happening everywhere, and we need to stop it. It's we, the people. They are not afraid of us, which is why they get away with it. God bless America. Wake up, folks.
Thank you. At this time, there will be an announcement pertaining to Uniform Fire Code. Council President?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have, we're honored to have District 2, 3, and 4. We have the fire officials that, we have the ordinance that's being presented to you guys. So just to give transparency, as I had mentioned in last meeting, we are we're looking to repeal the current continued certificate of occupancy and move the fire and smoke state laws to the fire department, where the building department and myself feel that is the administration, I believe, is behind us, feels that that's the best place for it. So with that being said, we wanted to allow some Q&A for council to ask, the fire commissioners. Am I saying that right? Fire officials, I apologize. Fire officials, some questions, and I definitely have some questions. And I think, then when we open it up to the public, if the public has anything, they are here to answer any of your questions. And they're going to kind of go through the paperwork so that everybody understands it. I know it's a different process. I know, I go through it, and it is definitely can be confusing, especially when you're changing something. So we want to make sure that we do it as smoothly as possible. With that being said, I'm going to let you go through with the paperwork, and then if that's okay, we'll open up questions to council.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
All right,
Yep.
it's on. Good evening, everyone. You see the application up on the board. So this will be on the township's website under the building department. It'll be on the district's websites, how to obtain the smoke cert when you're going to sell your house. The seller, the landlord, the property owner will have this paperwork. They're going to read through it. Obviously, it's going to tell you if you're selling the house in Jackson, you have to schedule an appointment with the local fire bureau for your resale. And it's going to be the smoke alarm cert, which is the smoke alarm, the carbon monoxide detector, and the fire extinguisher. We're going to, obviously, we'll set up an appointment with you, the owner, and we'll come and do the inspection. Providing everything is well and you pass the inspection, you'll have a 6-month certificate. That's a long time, 6 months. And when title changes, when the house is sold, that certificate will go into closing with the new seller and the landlord. If they should sell the house without having the smoke cert, they'll be fined. It's a $1,500 fine. Then they will have to apply for the smoke cert. Then we'll come in and we'll do the inspection, smoke certification. We have on the full instructions on this paperwork how to find out what fire district you live in. That way you can contact the appropriate fire bureau. Right now we have 3 fire bureaus in Jackson. Bureau of Fire Prevention District 2, which is Scott Roush, he's to my left. Bureau of Fire Prevention District 4, which is Stanley O'Brien, he's to my right. And I'm the Bureau of Fire Safety District 3, I'm Michael Grossman. So you look through there, and if we could back up one page, I'm sorry. You see the bottom of the first page, it says you will need to know what fire district the residence is in before you proceed to the application. To find out what the fire district is, and there's a website here. You log on to that website, it has a Jackson symbol on the top of the website. You'll type in your address or the address that you wish to sell. It'll give you the breakdown of what your taxes are, what fire district you're in, and then you'll take that number, what fire district in, and now page 2, if you scroll down now a little bit, please, you'll see it says, please fill out the following information only after you read and understand the reverse side of this application. And you send the completed application to the appropriate fire bureau the property is located in. And it says smoke carbon monoxide fire extinguisher application, SCFE application. Check the appropriate box. So you're going to see, hey, my house is in Jackson Fire District 3. I used to live on Brooklyn Parkway. I would type it in. That's Jackson Fire District 3. I would check off the box. I would see the appropriate contact info for the fire district number 3. It's a phone number and an address. I would fill out all the information. It says applicant name, address, so on and so forth, block and lot, the year the house was built, and 3 requested dates. I would like this date, this date, this date. Mm-hmm. Or you could check the box. It says first available date. Obviously, that will be with applicable fees if it could be accommodated. You check that off. And the certificate's good for 6 months. We will be scheduling the inspections Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday between 9 and 12. That's the block. Everyone that we schedule is between 9 and 12. It's not going to be a 9:30 or a 9:45 or a 10. It's between 9 and 12, and we may get there faster than later, or we'll plot out where the address is. So we're not going from Farmingdale Road all the way to Citadel Drive, all the way to Chandler. We're not We're going to plot it out to make it work. We have on this what the requirements are: at least 18 years old, and accompany the inspector while the inspector is in the house. We're not going to go in your house without you being there. You're not going to be a minor that we're going to be in the house with. It's going to be an adult, and you're going to supervise us while we do your inspection. You'll be accompanying us. We're going to check all your smoke detectors. You're going to check your fire extinguisher. You check your carbon monoxide detectors. Our certificate will be based on that. Smoke detector cert, fire alarm cert, smoke detector cert, carbon monoxide detector, and extinguisher. We're not checking your screens. We're not checking your carpets. We're not looking at this. Is strictly smoke, carbon monoxide, and extinguisher certification. We have a listing of inspection fee table if you scroll down. Okay, so if you 15 or more business days in advance, it's $100 the fee. So it's good for 6 months. If it's 10 to 14 business days, it's $200 if the schedule permits. We might not be able to get you in 10 to 14 days. You look further, 5 to 9 is $300 if schedule permits. 1 to 4 business days is $400 if schedule permits. So you may say, hey, we need this tomorrow. I'm sorry, we can't get you in until 15 days or 17 days because of the schedule and how booked we may be. Reinspection, if you fail your inspection, will be a $50 fee, and a duplicate copy of the certificate is $25. Now, if you look on the bottom, it says, well, again, we reiterated that it's subject to a fine of $1,500 if you close without this inspection, because this special inspection is very important. And re-inspections that are due to inoperable, improperly located, or the absence of required smoke and/or carbon monoxide detector, fire extinguisher, or failing to secure animals away while conducting the inspection. So if you've got your dog, listen, I'm 5'7", if that dog stands up to my shoulders, I don't want that when I'm walking around the residence. You can't tie that dog up in a room or a safe place away, then we're just gonna have to come back. But that's gonna be a reinspection. The next page has some locations for where the detectors would be located. And then the last page has some frequently asked questions that we were throwing around while we were putting this together.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the bureaus take cash, some don't. So when you find out what bureau you have to work with, you'll contact that bureau, say, how do I pay for this? How do I pay? Do you take credit card? Do you take cash? Do you take check? Do you take money order? Can you pay at the time of the inspection? No. It has to be paid before any appointment can be made. Can I lock down a date before they send the payment? No, it must be paid beforehand. What about address on the house or the mailbox? No, it's either will suffice. So if the fire bureau cancels the appointment, well, we're not going to charge you for being 3 days. We're going to make it work, whatever the reason was. We'll figure out a way to schedule you, and you won't be surcharged for that. And if we move you up, so argument's sake, you want to do your house in 16 days, and my schedule is totally empty. I call you up, hey, listen, are you available tomorrow? I can get here. It won't be any additional fee because I'm moving you closer due to my opening, my availability.
Okay.
So I think I kind of touched on everything. The first page explains the requirements, the years the house was built, and
Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions. I definitely have some, so I'll start with myself since I wrote
Sure.
them all down. In the beginning, you had made a reference toward landlord inspections. I was not under the impression that you guys were doing landlord, you were just doing CCO.
well, that was my
Okay,
apology.
because there's a huge difference,
oh,
so I
no.
just want to do clarity.
No,
So
it's
there
full
is no,
clarity. That was-
landlord is staying with code enforcement. As of right
Correct.
now, that is in code enforcement.
It's
So
the house owner, the property
it's
owner.
a continued certificate of occupancy, a resale of a house, not new construction.
Right.
So I just wanted to get that. I have a question in regards to changing of ownership. So I own my house in Jennifer L. Kuhn, all right, and I want to put it into an LLC ABC Main Street. Am I required to call you and have a reinspection since that is actually a name change? I'm not necessarily changing it to anybody, but I am changing it from my name into an LLC.
Was it a change of title?
That would be a change of title, yes, you would.
And then it
because
would be a new, it would be.
So
a
I just want to
special.
make sure that that's clarity, that we have that out there, that if I take it from my personal name and I transfer it into an LLC, that you will be required to have a new smoke cert, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's.
Yeah, anytime a title change.
Anytime a
that'll be
title
required.
changes, okay. I just have a question in regards to the fire extinguisher.
Yes.
Is the fire extinguisher for a 987 square home going to be the same for a house that's 4,500 square feet? Or is there a difference in the
Right.
extinguisher?
This goes in, this is for the kitchen. So
Okay,
it's going to be a minimum of a 2A 10BC rating. And
Okay.
no bigger than 10-pound ABC.
and that's
fire
universal through all homes?
Universal, yes.
Townhomes, single-family homes? Just want to
Correct.
make sure, because that is something that, in regards to applying for the inspection, I see that you do have a website so that they can know where they need to apply. Is any of the applicants able to do it online? Is there going to be now or in the future, do you anticipate to have a portal
In the future,
in the future?
In the
So that is
future,
something
maybe.
that you will, obviously, we know that we're doing baby steps. We're getting our feet wet with this, but I just wanted to see if that was something that a resident can go on and literally pick their time, pick their date, and know exactly what they want to do without calling everybody and anyone.
right now, it's not that way, but in the future,
Okay.
we're looking to make this more streamlined.
Okay.
Make it easier for the applicant to do what they need
Amazing.
to do.
So again, I just want to make sure that we can get out there that you're going to contact your fire district, not the clerk, not the business administrator, not your council members. The fire department will now, not the building department. It's going to be, you're going to go to this website, you're going to click on there. If you know your district,
We would like to have this put on the township's website as well. Under maybe the building department, you could do home resales, home sales, fire cert, and maybe a click on.
Okay.
And it'll come out with our
So-
application.
let me finish with my questions and then
Sure.
I will pass it. That would be Mr. Walls, if he could approve that, we will. And we have, Christian here, so,
Perfect.
we can take care of that. But I got a couple more. I just want to make sure. Can you do it online? You answered that. First, Dale, what about a cancellation fee? So if I'm going and I have my appointment, not, I'm late to, running to get to my appointment, but I'm literally like, hey, listen, I thought my closing was going to be this day and I'm not going to make it. I need a cancellation. Is a cancellation going to be the same as a missed appointment?
No, because you're going to cancel before the date you're scheduled. to come.
Correct. So if I put down, let's just say I did $100 because I gave 15 days and I said, shoot, I'm not going to make it. It's something happened and the house is going back on the market. So I'm going to cancel that appointment. I'm going to lose that $100 and I'm going to have to reapply and pay another $100 for a new inspection if I cancel.
Right. The search good for 6 months, but no, I mean, you cancel before.
If
your
I cancel,
scheduled
if I
dates.
can't make it, if my dog's sick and I got to
Oh,
go to
no,
the
I-
vet.
If, providing we're not coming to the house and there's nobody there, but you cancel ahead of time,
You're just going to put me in and allocate me in another 15-day spot.
yes.
I just want to make sure that's
Yes.
clarity
Oh,
because I know
because
that things come up, especially in the world of,
Oh, it
real
does.
estate. And a lot of these are going to be, probably realtors doing it for their clients and stuff like that.
Right.
So if something happens and it has to be rescheduled, that is not going to be penalized as long as nobody has come out to the home first.
Correct.
Awesome. I think that's great. In regards to if a house is 100% vacant, meaning no personal property in there, if you want to know what personal property is, it's going to be your clothes, your shoes, your dresser, your bed, your food. If there's absolutely nothing there and there's something, maybe an affidavit or something that somebody could sign where you would use a lockbox, or is that absolutely out of the question? You want somebody there to open up that door?
Oh, you're talking about when we're at the
Yes,
inspection.
and right now,
I-
if you have a CCO, which obviously
should
we're not
be,
going to have anymore, and the house is 100% vacant, you can give the inspector the lockbox combo, and they will go on their own and they will inspect it. It has to be 100% vacant. Otherwise, if you go there, you will lose your deposit. You'll lose your money and they will walk out and they will not go into the house. So just, I want to make sure if you say yes to that, that's clarity.
We would want someone there with us.
Okay,
We
so
want
that's a no.
someone there. Correct, no.
I get it. Listen, it's your wheelhouse. I agree. So that's going to be a no. So no using lockbox. Cancellation fee we did. That's good. And the last thing you did, can you pay over the phone with a credit card if any of your districts?
I don't take credit card.
Okay.
Scott, you said no, right?
Take your card, but it's done online.
Oh, so you're online.
We will issue you we will email you the invoice.
And you could just pay it through like you too? All right, District 3, come on. Okay, so that's awesome. So that it makes a lot easier for the residents. I know
Right.
it's probably a fee cost associated with it, but I'm just trying to save you guys a headache. It's just, get it, say it, and pay it, but that's awesome. The last thing, that only thing is a recommendation of mine for the frequent asked questions is the dates. If they're not available, that you will attempt to work with the homeowner. I think you're going to be getting yourself into, I think you should keep it where you can't work with the homeowner at the building department. This is your date, this is your time, you're going to be there, and if you're not going to be there, we're not going to show up. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of a thing and say, hey, listen, because next thing you know, you worked with this one, you worked with her, you didn't work with me, and I think you're just going to be opening up yourself till you get, acclimated with the whole, because I know it's going to be a huge transition. And that's just my opinions. I'm sorry. Thank
No,
you.
that
That's
makes
all I
total
have.
sense.
But thank you
Council
so much
President,
for
that makes
coming,
total
and
sense.
that's all I have. So the floor is open. Anybody else?
I have a couple questions real quick. In regards to the inspection fee table, those fees, were they already in place by Jackson Township and you just transferred them over? Or did you do like a study of other towns and then come up with those fees?
I don't know what Jackson's fees were through the building department. Took a little bit from different districts, different towns throughout, and made our own numbers and made it keep it simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, just easy numbers.
Gotcha. Also, when someone sells a home, you have to forgive me, I haven't purchased or sold a home in some time. If somebody sells their home as is, does the existing owner still have to pay the fee, or does that go with the new purchaser, or how does it work?
The seller has to have this certificate. I don't know if I'm understanding what you're saying. So if you sell your house as is to him, you have to have this, even though as is, whatever cracked foundation, whatever the issue is, you have to have this done. Sure.
Councilman, can I ask you a question? I think are you asking if it could be paid by both the buyer or the seller? It just has to be done no matter what?
Just has to be done no
Yeah.
matter what?
So what I think he's asking is, do you care who pays for it?
Oh, no.
Okay, that was the question.
I misunderstood you.
I mean, I think so I don't write the check. The buyer writes the check. That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
President. Quick question. We mentioned that if people don't do this, obviously they're in violation. I think it was $1,500. Is that code enforcement who issues that? Is that you guys who issue that fine?
That would be the local fire bureau for that district.
So that'd be a fire district violation, and then obviously that would end up, it would be your responsibility to collect that. That's not a responsibility which is going to fall upon code enforcement.
No, it would be the bureau's responsibility, because the bureau would be finding the seller.
Okay. Also, last question from me.
Sure.
The 6-month period, where did you come up with that number? That was just based on, again, other towns, like giving someone 6 months. That was other,
6 months served, we got looking at the other town.
Everybody else, right?
Right.
It seemed to make sense, so if you're, as you were discussing earlier, you have the 15-day schedule, then you had to cancel it because you were busy, which is fine, we can do that. But we can also do it, and you have 6 months now, you're on the market. You got that out of your way.
right,
One less inspection.
right. Okay, thank you.
Council President. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service to our town. Just a couple of questions. First one would be like, how would you go about, I know we maybe putting this on the website on the township website, but how are you also going to go about advertising it to the public, to seller, prospective sellers, real estate industry, and others who may be involved?
We
So
would
they're aware of this criteria they have to follow if they meet it.
It would be on your website, township website. We would stick a stack of these applications in code enforcement, in the building department. If somebody did come over there, hey, I'm selling my house or I'm looking to buy a house, we would put it on our district websites, the fire district websites, and the fire bureaus would be advertised on our sites.
Would this also be advertised to the National Association of Realtors,
No.
Ocean Monmouth? No. Okay. If so, they're aware, they can let their clients know as well. So they're following this criteria, so they don't have to be fined. I guess I just want to make sure that, like, there's no.
What's the procedure?
Yeah, I just wondered. Just to cover all
Councilman,
the
if I could just answer you, obviously, it's no secret, I'm a real estate broker for 20 years, worked in Jackson for 20 years. So when you are applying, the realtor, the homeowner, and the seller, they go on the township website and they look at the process and procedures. Believe me,
Okay.
no one knows what they're supposed to do. Yeah, they'll go and they'll have the guidance from their attorney, from their representative or something like that. And then as they had said, having them in all the code, somebody will find it.
My second question is, how much time do you have to counsel with say if you want to cancel an appointment, will you know who the inspector is going to be arriving at your house if you're selling a house? Sort of like with businesses and contractors that.
You would cancel before your day. If you're
Okay.
scheduled for Wednesday, the 10th, as long as you're scheduled before Wednesday, the 10th. I'm sorry, as long as you cancel before Wednesday, the 10th. You cancel before your scheduled day.
Okay, there won't be like any kind of penalty for that, or
No.
because if something comes up, or for one
Yes, we
reason or
weren't-
another, an appointment has to be canceled. Okay,
Right. We're not going to knock on the door and there's no one here because you
Right.
canceled. We could plan accordingly if you cancel your appointment.
and there's always someone readily available to pick up the phone if anyone needs to reach out, whether by phone or email, on or before their appointment.
Yes, there's a phone number, there's email addresses.
Okay. Thank you.
One more. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Very clear presentation. Seems like it's all here in black and white, so I really don't have any questions about that. Just on the how can I pay bit about the cash check or charge, I'm sure you've encountered it. I have a lot of people that do not have a checkbook, and a lot of younger folks in particular only pay by credit card. So I hope you guys will try to make that a little bit more uniform as soon as possible, because that will create a burden on the residents if you don't take all three forms of payment. So that's my only comment. So thank you.
We're good if we want to move to the ordinance. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
I would
you.
just stay there because of opening comments in case any of the residents have anything.
Sounds good.
Consideration of ordinance, public hearing, and final consideration. This is the second reading of ordinance 2424 entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, repealing Chapter 233 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson in its entirety. This ordinance was introduced on June 25th, 2024. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you please state your name and your
Yes.
address?
I don't know if we have to raise my hand.
You don't have to raise your hand.
Okay. Carlos Martins, 406 Cobain Road, Jackson, New Jersey. I didn't have any questions until you guys started asking questions, and now I asked the question. So I just wanted to be clear. So that fee of $100, $200, so on, is that an increase from what we have to pay now?
This is a new. We're
we
taking
don't-
it out of the building department and we're putting it with the fire department. So they're just going in uniform with other surrounding towns.
Right. So now that when it is with the building department, how much would I have to pay?
It's no longer, if this passes, it will no longer be with the building department. It would just be with the fire bureau.
I got it. The question is, when it is with the building department, how much do I have to pay? and now I'm paying 100. Before I was paying what?
I believe
I don't
it's,
care who I'm paying. I'm just asking how much more.
I believe it's 100. I'm not
Okay.
100%. It's not an
Right.
increase. If
So
any,
I'm not really getting an increase. Okay.
yeah, I think it's 100. I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't clear to me if there was an increase or not. That's all. Then the thing, yeah, with the 6 months, that's the similar question that I had. 6 months sounds like a long time, but I guess, when you're trying to close a house, sell a house,
It's standard throughout the state,
it flies
6 months.
by, right? Okay. Yeah. So just to be clear, so the advance notice so that I don't lose my fee, right, in case I can't close on time. 1 day is enough? That's enough advance notice to say, please, I'm not going to make it.
Just one less
One day?
appointment we have to schedule, and we could possibly move another person up.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose my fee. That's
Right.
okay. So, and an email notification would probably be best because that way I can prove that I notified you, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Council
I think
President, I
that's it.
apologize. Is there any questions regarding the ordinance that's being read on
Isn't
tonight?
that
This
what?
is the ordinance.
For this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies.
Okay. I think that's it. I did have a similar question on the as is, right? So I thought, like, if I sell a house as is, okay, it's going to have violations on it, but that's on you. Like, I wouldn't even skip because I know it's not going to pass, right? So I'm selling as is because I know there's issues with the
It's a
house.
state law that you have to get a fire and smoke. State law, whether it's if there is a dwelling there with
Yes.
water, and you have to get a.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Hold on one second.
So currently, the building department inspection is 100 and the re-inspection is 50.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Seeing no one come forward and make a motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is the third reading of ordinance 24-24, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, repealing Chapter 233 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson in its entirety. I need a motion to adopt on third and final reading and advertise according to law.
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli,
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein,
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm,
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent.
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance's first reading. Council President Kuhn, are there comments regarding ordinance 25-24?
Yes. All right. This ordinance amends Chapter 245 of the Township Code to establish the requirements inspection of lead-based paint, hazard in residential rental properties as required by law from 2021. Landlords will be responsible to obtain an inspection of such rental properties through either the Township Code Enforcement Office or a private contractor selected by the township or a certified lead paint evaluating contractor selected by the landlord. Failure to do so will result in a violation of this ordinance. Again, this is for landlord registration only.
Thank you. Ordinance 25-24, entitled an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Jackson, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing
Chapter 245.
Chapter 245, landlord registration and responsibility of the Township Code to establish regulations governing lead paint inspections for rental properties in accordance with PL 2021 C-182. I need a motion to approve ordinance 25-24 on first reading and to authorize the notice of approval and public hearing to be held on July 23rd, 2024.
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli,
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein,
Yes, and just one
Council-
quick question, Council President?
Yes.
This ordinance came from the state?
You know what? You took the words right out of my mouth because that's exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to say. Yes, we just want to make sure that this is not a township. This is a state requirement that this is our deadline. We waited as long as we could, but we have no choice. Just, in the residential world and a resale, if you don't get a lead-based paint addendum, it's an $11,000 fine. They do not mess around with lead-based paint, just, in the real estate
And
world.
also, Council President, this is only homes built before what year?
1978.
Thank you. I vote yes.
That's cool.
Councilman Chisholm?
I'm shocked that we are passing a state mandate. Really, I am. Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. We move on to
Gentlemen,
bills
you could go. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming.
Move on to bills and claims. Motion to approve or hold.
Motion, second.
Councilman Borelli?
Abstain on vendor numbers DEL 01, RUT 04, STA 01, and STA 76. Yes to the rest on there.
Thank you. Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Abstain on BRI 18, COM 44, MOD 01, and RUT 04. Yes to all the rest.
Thank you. Council Vice President Sargent?
Yes.
And Council President Kuhn.
Abstain on RCS 02. Yes to the rest.
Thank you. Move over to consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the listed resolutions under consent agenda.
Motion?
Second?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Bernstein?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Council Vice President Sargent?
Question, if you don't mind,
Mr. Wall?
Mr. Wall, thank you. I brought this up in the past, and I'm hoping you can refresh my memory. On R245-24, the first one, we talk about lifting the performance guarantee. My question to you, again, I think, is who inspects the property, and do we have a continuation of inspection of the property?
These are released only at the formal recommendation of the engineer.
Okay, so the township engineer then has the discretion to decide what we do with the property or not do with the property.
Well, I would defer to the attorney, but this is a performance guarantee. If you want to describe what the purpose of that is and the typical release platform.
The purpose of a performance guarantee is to ensure that the developer or applicant builds what was approved by the planning board, zoning board, et cetera. If they do it and the engineer does the inspection and they've complied with what they are required to comply with, the engineer is required to recommend to the governing body that the performance bond be released, and the township's obligated to release it. After the performance bond is released, there are also maintenance bonds, depending on the size of the project, that are held for 2 more years to ensure that the items that were approved continue to operate properly.
And then after the 2 years?
There is nothing else after that.
Okay, thank you.
You-
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Kuhn?
If we could just bring up, Christian, if you don't mind, the Field of Dreams. The yet another park that Mr. Wall and the administration has given us to vote on. That's Johnson, no? That's Johnson. Do you have the Field of Dreams one? So this park is going to be at the Justice Complex. Terrence, if you
Yes,
know,
I'll
you-
just
you-
briefly just state that this is also, this Field of Dreams, it's going to be a gorgeous playground that's focused on neurodiverse applications in the play space for children of all abilities, and accessibility is key. So we're very much looking forward to,
there it is.
okay, great. Yes, and you also see in all the new playgrounds with Johnson, Woodland, their canopy coverage for sun protection is integrated here, seating spaces, and there are items that are more acoustic with sound and touch, and very simple to traverse. So any child can enjoy the space in Jackson.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm yes to everything. I just wanted to share the latest and greatest park that we have being.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments on any topic. I need a motion to open the public portion of the meeting for all comments.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone. State your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
I have a comment. Carlos Martins, 406 Cobain, Jackson, New Jersey. Okay, I know I have 5 minutes. I learned that
I'm
from
just
the
looking
last
at Christian
time.
to start the clock.
I learned
Thank
that
you.
from the last time. Yeah, so I'm kind of new to all this, but I've been watching some of the archived videos and everything. And so I would like to share my observations and my comments with the council. So I'll break them down into 3 categories: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. So the good, I would like to give a shout out to Robert Shea, right? I've watched them on some of
That's not this committee.
Right. I've watched, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But just to share best practices. That's why I bring him up. So he before there's a voting, right? He gives kind of a summary. Look, this is what we're going to vote on, blah, 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 blah. And then you get the vote. I found that to be best practice. I appreciate that. Sometimes I don't realize everything that's being voted on. And I found that very useful for me. Even some of the committee members in that planning, sometimes you're like, am I voting to go to the next one? Or anyway, there's a bit of a confusion. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. I know he's in a different meeting. With that, also, I see in others where after the vote, there's like the ayes have it, or, like it kind of for the record, this has been passed. Maybe consider doing something like that. Sometimes also where you get to a new ordinance, and I don't realize that the last one was just passed. So something to consider. The other person I'd like to give a shout out to is Miss Jennifer Kuhn. So I don't always agree with everything that I saw on the presentations and stuff, but I gotta admit, from what I've seen, you do a lot of work, and we do appreciate it. And things that actually impact us, like the roads and the parks and all of this.
It's a collective effort.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir.
I do appreciate you bringing it to the forefront, though, and mentioning it. So that's the good, right? So some of the bad things. In one of the last calls, I mentioned about the fact that we're asked to give our name and the full address, the street address. And I understand there's I guess you have to ask for that. I'm not sure you have to ask for the exact street address. I would like for you to consider any obligation of privacy that you have to the residents, because this stuff does get put on YouTube, and not just the Jackson website, but people get the suggestion, hey, why don't you watch this one because you like to watch council meetings or something, and that information is out there, and so I just like you to consider that. I know I brought it up before.
Thank you, sir.
But so just bring it up again.
Okay.
And of course, just the mics, right? I saw in a lot of the old archived stuff where you don't turn the mic on and I can't hear anything you're saying.
They
but-
updated our mics since then, so we are pretty much good to go.
Is that why it's working? Oh, great.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you. We
good
heard
job.
you. You weren't even here and we heard you.
Actually, yeah. Okay. Let me just go back to the shout out. I think Mr. Burstein also. I know that I saw one where it was with the police and where you wanted to hire a new position and so on.
He's sitting right there.
Oh,
That's Director Candino.
Hey, nice to see you. And then one of them, Mr. Burstein, meant that he went out and talked to like 50% of them to get, a feel.
More
of
than
what-
that, but yes.
Yeah, but at the time it was only 50%. There was some comment about why only 50. There's like, wow, I was impressed. Anyway, thank you for
Thank you, I
making the
appreciate it.
effort. For anyone that makes that extra effort to actually stay involved. Okay, so now the ugly. So the ugly has to be, and this it hurt me a lot, was the meeting on March 14th regarding the ordinance. What is it, 24 something, that now it's tabled forever or something, I don't know. Let me see. Like, you guys are looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. So, I think it says it on here, ordinance 24, no.
Well, 24 is the year, so I need the number.
Oh, okay. I will give it to you. I know that it was, so it'd be 23. I know that the meeting was on March 14th, 23. And so not to use up all my time.
I'm
I will
good,
give
but
it
I'm
to
not
you. It
that
doesn't
good.
matter.
I don't remember.
What happened was there was that was brought up, but it wasn't on the agenda, right? I think Mr. Bursty wasn't here, but a bunch of you guys were. It wasn't on the agenda. It was brought up late. Not everybody knew about it. And what I saw here was
You know what, it's
Okay.
your time's done, but
next time.
next time, bring the number.
All right, thank
I
you.
think he's referencing an ordinance that was a previous council.
I believe
Yeah.
so too, but
Previous council, council
It's-
president, everything.
Councilman Bernstein's never missed a meeting. Thank you, sir.
Good
So-
evening. I'm sorry. Ryan
ahead.
Archer, 486 Frank Applegate Road.
We have the reply that, I don't know, maybe I didn't copy and paste it right, but the attorney's here and he has the reply that he has, and he'd like to read that to you if you want to do that.
Sure. So you had, I think there were three questions, and I'll go through the three questions you had. The first was the statute. You referred to 4081-8. There are roughly 13 forms of government in New Jersey. The one you cited is not the one that operates and controls Jackson Township.
Okay.
Jackson Township operates under the Faulkner Act, and under the Faulkner Act 40:69A-31, there is a separation of powers between the council and the mayor. The mayor is the administrative branch. Council is the legislative branch of the government. The mayor is not required to be at council meetings. In fact, he's a guest at council meetings.
Okay.
And that's the way the government operates. Similar to how the state or federal government works, the executive branch, the governor, for instance, does not attend the legislative sessions of the legislature, and that's what the Faulkner Act form of government that Jackson Township has, that's what it operates under. And most large municipalities in Ocean County have adopted that form of government.
Okay.
Brick Township, Toms River, Manchester, Jackson, and there may be another one that I can't think of at the moment. But the government the form of government you cited was a borough council form of
Borough
government.
Council? Okay.
And the mayor is a member of the council in those forms of government and is required to preside at the meetings
Okay.
if he's available. So,
Thank you.
like I said, 13 different forms. I can
Sure.
understand why you looked at one
Yeah.
and said, what's going on here? But
Sure.
under this form of government, he's not
Understood.
required to be here.
Okay.
Second question was the
Ethics Committee.
Ethics ordinance 26-13, I
Correct.
believe it was. So that ordinance was adopted November 24th of 2009. That was ordinance
09, okay.
37-09. Yeah, I'm sorry, chapter 26-13. But ordinance 3709 was adopted in November of 2009. And then the third question you had was with respect to local government ethics law and the ordinance 20 and chapter 26-13. The local government ethics law was originally adopted in 1991. It's been amended a number of times, most recently and most effectively in 2015.
That's the one I
And the local
supported,
government
okay.
ethics law gave municipalities a choice as to whether
Correct.
they wish to operate a local government ethics board to handle local government ethics complaints,
Correct.
or whether they wish to defer that to the state. Most municipalities, I couldn't give you a percentage, but most municipalities have deferred and left it to the Department of Community Affairs and the Office of the Local Finance Board to handle those government complaints. The perception was that it would become political in any municipality with counter, ethics complaints flying back and forth based on political issues. So Jackson, like many other municipalities, operates under the Local Finance Board of the Department of Community Affairs with respect to ethics complaints. So that board that you cited in the.
But what about the ordinance that was
Yeah,
passed?
so the ordinance was adopted, as I said, long before those changes in the local government ethics law, and it's been vacant and not filled for many, many years. I wasn't here when it was probably first not filled, but it would be my recommendation not to fill it. The local ordinance does not comply with the statute of the local government ethics law. If you're going to have a local if you're going to have a local government ethics board, there are strict requirements as to how they're appointed, when they're appointed, what they're permitted to do, what they're required to do, and this ordinance does not meet those requirements. So my guess is that back in the mid-teens of 2015 or so, when the statute was amended, the township decided not to fill that board because, quite frankly, it'd be ultra-virus. It's not a board that can act under the local government ethics law because it's not created properly. So it hasn't been filled for a number of years, and certainly since I've been here in 2020.
Okay, I appreciate the response.
No problem. You got it.
All right. Question I have for you. When will we see a traffic light at Diamond and West Commodore Boulevard by gas time? I brought this up 2 months ago to the planning board. I'm assuming there's been fatality there. Can I just finish? And I apologize for cutting you off. Friday night, my son was T-boned by someone that ran that stop sign. As I mentioned to the planning board, I might have mentioned it before in these meetings, how inadequate our roads are, especially to have a blinking light in a growing town that we have. So what's it going to take to get a red light there?
So the county did approve that light. It was on the list that they gave us. It's out for order. My experience with dealing with things that have been approved, I was waiting by my intersection by Brookwood and County Line over 3 years, I think it was, after it was approved. They told us the parts were put out for order. The job is being put out for bid. I will follow up with them tomorrow morning
Thank
to
you.
see where that's holding and get back to you, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And I apologize for not attaching that email. I apologize. Thank you, Christian, for holding that time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Murican, I want to thank you. You kind of led right into where my question.
If you could just say your name for the
I'm
record,
sorry.
sorry.
It's Jim Slackia, 6 Hartfield Drive.
Thank you.
Your comments about the structure leads me right into my question to this governing body. These are the legislators of Jackson Township.
Correct.
And I know it's 42 years ago that I graduated from Jackson Memorial High School, but I do think I remember that the legislative body is the ones that can put taxes on people. So my question is, the day after this last council meeting, the Board of Ed held their meeting in which they presented their budget and the board voted against it. They also voted against increasing, going above the 2% cap that the state requires, but they're now allowing a one-time 9.9%. The members of the board all voted against it. Okay. As soon as that occurred, the state monitor steps up and reverses that. How is it that a state appointed, Governor Murphy state appointed at that, can reverse a decision that is based on the will of the people of Jackson not to increase our taxes within this school budget? And is this board doing anything within their power? Similar to Tom's River, I know it's a little different in Tom's River because they're suing for a different reason, but is there any consideration that Jackson would potentially get involved in a lawsuit against the state for what they're doing here?
So I'm sure you already understand, but the Board of Education is a completely separate legal entity, separate elected officials, separate responsibilities under the statutes. The township governing body has no control over Title 18, which controls the governing of the school board. So the township is not in a position to do anything about that. And in Tom's River, it's the school board that is taking that action, not the township. So in answer to your second question, which how can the state do it? Because the state says so, and they have a law that says that they can.
But you say you don't have any control, but as a taxpayer, I have no children in the school district, but I still pay my taxes like everyone.
You do have control, and that's to change the elected officials who represent you in Trenton. That's your control.
That doesn't do me good right now today. I agree.
Completely understand.
So there's no consideration at this point in time.
Well, I think if the Board of Education wants to take that step, I'm not familiar with all the details of it and what ability they would have to do that, but they would have to make that determination, not the Township Council.
So do you believe a state monitor should have?
Should what?
Do you believe a state monitor should have that ability to reverse it? Huh?
No, personally, no, I don't.
All right. So now I'll ask my second question, which I was going to ask at the last meeting, and I know it kind of got confusing, so I'm going to ask it as generically as I can. How are new public roads created in the Township of Jackson?
So there's a number of ways public roads are created. If a applicant or developer comes in and makes an application before one of the boards, they can provide for access to their property and can dedicate that improved road to the township, provided they meet the requirements of the Township Road Ordinance and what's required, the width, the depth, the pavement thickness, et cetera. Now, in a residential site improvement situation where a residential development is being developed within a residential zone, the township has no discretion as to whether they can accept that road. If the board approves a project, it's zoned residential, and the applicant complies with the requirements of the residential site improvement standards, the township's obligated to accept that road. Second way is if the township decides to condemn a road, build a road, they can condemn property for that purpose if they need to. They can widen a road through condemnation if needed, after negotiating first to see if it can be resolved amicably. And finally, the township has a township map, and in that township map lists the various right-of-ways that the township believes it owns. That's on the tax map, and it's also on the township road map. And if a road is on that map, it becomes a township road if and when the township decides to improve it.
So is your first, just, I don't want to keep it as simple as I can because I don't want to get into what we were involved with last week. So your first comment was
Is there a specific road you have, like, that you want,
we
you
can't talk, this is where we got into last
Oh,
meeting.
this is the
You
plan,
guys-
this is a planning
you
board
guys said-
application he's talking about. I forgot.
You didn't
Okay.
want me to get into it, so I'm trying to stay away from it.
Okay. Touche. I apologize. Continue.
So I guess your first comment that you were making focused on residential. Is it only for residential or is it potentially?
I
for
would have to
others?
see the application and know what was involved. But if the township, if somebody tries to dedicate a road to the township and the township denies that dedication, even though they're going to build it to all township specs, even though they're going to build it and give it to the township at their cost and expense, the township can't simply say, no, we don't want it unless they have a valid reason to do it.
So-
It would be an arbitrary decision for them to say, no, we don't want it.
So when you say the township, this
The
board
township.
has to approve.
That would be correct.
That's where I was trying to get.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Great job. I think.
Seeing no one come forward and make a motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close.
I
Second?
don't think a motion to
All in
close.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.